In the world of programming, it feels like every language is in an arms race, right? Just adding more and more features. But what if the most powerful thing you could do was actually to remove them? Well, that's exactly the radical idea behind a language called Myra, and we're going to break it down today. Pascal, refined. I mean, that's not just a clever tagline, right? That's its entire mission statement. See, Myra isn't trying to be some brand new, out of this world thing. Nope. It's taking a classic, a language famous for being easy to read, Pascal, and just sculpting it, chipping away all the extra stuff to get back to that powerful, simple core.
But you might be thinking, in a world with thousands of languages, why go back to basics? It's a totally fair question. And to get it, you have to understand a very specific kind of frustration. It's that feeling of being totally buried in a language's own complexity, while at the same time, you're fighting just to use the other tools you really need.
All right, so let's dig into that problem. It's a story you've probably heard a million times in the software world. A really good, simple idea that, over time, just gets weighed down by its own success. I mean, think about it. The whole point of Pascal originally was its clarity. It was this clean, structured way to write code. But then fast forward a few decades and you look at its descendants like Delphi and Free Pascal, and they've just piled on feature after feature, keyword after keyword. All that beautiful simplicity, it kind of got lost in the noise. And you can actually see this difference right here. Look at this. Myra takes the keyword count from over 60 down to just 45. It completely gets rid of complex classes, instead using a simpler idea called records that can still do inheritance. And when it comes to generics, which, let's be honest, can be a real headache, Myra does something bold. It just says, nope, use C++'s templates instead. Every single choice here is about cutting things down on purpose.
And that was only half the problem. So on one hand, the language itself was getting more complicated inside, but on the other hand, trying to talk to the outside world, especially that huge universe of C and C++ libraries, was a real pain. You had to deal with all these wrappers and bindings and, foreign function interfaces. So you've got this two-headed monster, complexity on the inside and friction on the outside. Okay, so you're fighting this two-front war against complexity. What do you do? Well, the creators of Myra asked a really powerful question. What if the answer isn't to add another feature, but to start taking them away? And that, right there, is the heart of its philosophy: refinement through subtraction. And this definition, well, it pretty much tells you the whole story. It's inspired by Obron, another language that's all about simplicity. But the real magic is right there in the middle. It compiles to modern C++23. That one decision is the secret sauce. It's how you get the best of both worlds: the easy readability of Pascal with all the raw power of C++ right underneath. And this quote, this is the rule that makes the whole thing click. If it's not Myra, it's C++. Emit it. It's just a brilliantly simple philosophy for a compiler. There's no complicated bridge to cross. If the Myra compiler sees something it doesn't understand, it doesn't freak out and throw an error. It just goes, okay, that must be C++, and passes it right along. So that whole idea of just pass it through, that leads us directly to Myra's absolute killer feature, its seamless C++ integration. This right here is what makes it so different from all those other Pascal languages. So how does it actually work? Well, it's basically a two-step dance. First, your nice, clean Myra code gets translated or transpiled directly into modern C++23 code. Then, a compiler that's bundled right in, it actually uses Zig, takes that C++ code and turns it into a normal native program. The best part? You don't have to go install a bunch of other stuff. It's all right there for you. And what this means for you, the developer, is that the line between Myra and C++ just evaporates. It's gone. You can literally mix both languages in the same file. Need to call a low-level system function or use some super specific C++ library? You just write the C++ code right there. No wrappers, no special interfaces. For that moment, Myra just is C++. This gives you a really clear way to think about it. It's like having two tools in your hand at all times. You use Myra for all the high-level stuff, your application logic, your data structures, the parts where you want everything to be super readable and easy to maintain. But then, when you need raw power, you just seamlessly drop down into C++ for things like performance-critical loops, accessing system APIs, or tapping into that massive C++ library ecosystem. But to get this beautiful, simple partnership with C++, the designers had to be absolutely ruthless about what they cut out of Myra. And it's not just about deleting features for the sake of it. It's about replacing them with something simpler and more direct. Like, why build a whole complicated class system when simple records with inheritance get you most of the way there? Or why reinvent the wheel with generics when you can just tap into the incredibly powerful template system that C++ already has? Every single thing that's missing was a deliberate choice to keep the language clean and clear.
Okay, let's zoom in on the two biggest things they left out. First, classes. By sticking to records with type extension, you still get inheritance, but you get to ditch all the heavy baggage, like constructors, destructors, and all those confusing visibility rules. Then there's generics. By just letting C++ handle it, the Myra language itself stays incredibly small and easy to learn. You let the C++ compiler do all that heavy lifting for you. And if you need one single thing to remember just how committed they are to minimalism, it's this number: 45. 45 keywords. That's it. That is the entire vocabulary of the language. I mean, that number tells you everything about their goal of making life simpler for the developer. All right, so we've seen the problem it's trying to solve, and this really elegant philosophy. But what's the takeaway? Why should you, as a developer, even care about Myra today? Look, Myra is not trying to be the one language for everybody, and honestly, that's its biggest strength. It's built for a very specific person. It's for the developer who picks simplicity and readability over a giant list of features. It's for the C++ dev who wants a cleaner way to write their main application logic without losing access to all their favorite libraries. And it's for anyone who just wants a toolchain that works right out of the box, no fuss.
And this really gets to the core idea, the big shift in thinking that Myra brings to the table. We're so used to judging a language by what's in the box. Myra is asking you to judge it by what it intentionally left out. The whole bet is that by stripping things away, you get a clearer, faster path from your idea to code that actually works and that you can still understand 6 months from now. And that's really the question that Myra leaves us with. It makes you challenge what you even mean by a powerful language. In this era where everything in software just gets more and more complex, you have to wonder, maybe radical simplicity is the most powerful feature of all.